In today's episode, things are going to heat up, and in particular, it's going to be rice or flaxseed pads that are going to heat up. I'm going to share my 3 favorite sizes. I already have my neck one on. This is the one that is used the most in my family. Finally, this is a smaller size. You can make these out of stackers. You can make these out of cut squares, 5 or 6 inches. Great size for gifts. We're going to talk about how to make these, how to use them, and you can get started on making some for yourself. Let's talk about the materials you need, what the cost differences are and the heat differences are in each. And then I'm going to show you my 3 favorite sizes. So you're going to need your fabrics, and you're going to need to decide if you're going to just make them where the rice is inside 2 pieces of fabric like this one, or if you're going to make one that is removable. I do them both ways. I have some like these little squares. They're just so easy. I don't make these in cases. If you're going to be doing a removable outer cover, you're going to need some Velcro. These are 2 of the most popular things to put in it: long grain rice or whole flaxseed. There's a huge difference in the price. The difference in the heating is kind of significant. Flaxseed has oil in it that will heat up and cool down, so it's going to retain its heat longer than rice or beans or corn. Some people use corn. I always use flaxseed. One thing my dad always complained, he said, it smells like a barn. It does a little bit. It has an odor to it, but it does also give you a moist heat. So this is my favorite. If you're on a budget doing like a bunch of them for gifts, I would go with rice. You can also mix the 2. So you're getting some of the longer lasting and moister heat and the cost savings. Let's talk about sizes. These are the 3 sizes that I use the most. I would say this one is the most used in my home, followed by this one, followed by these 3. But these are excellent size for gifts. You use lots of scraps, whip them up really quickly. I will say, when I was making these, I fussy cut the flannel so that I would have exactly these snowmen and these snowmen in that place. But I wish I had left the bottom edge open to sew closed instead of the top. So you might want to do that your first time. Learn from me. We're going to be sewing one this size, but let me first show you a little bit more about this size. This one I love whenever I have a stomach ache. Heat helps so much. You can also put it on your lower back. It's a great size for bigger areas. This one does have a removable cover with Velcro. And then on the inside, I've been using this for about 15 years. It still heats great. But what I wanted to point out on this one, because it is so large, filled with flaxseed, I put the flaxseed in compartments. So I made the outer case and I actually hemmed it at the end on the long edge, so I didn't push it all in this way. I sewed little dividers. Then I filled the bottom half of these 5, and then I sewed here. Then I put more in, and then I sewed here. This makes it much easier to keep your heat more evenly dispersed in a larger warmer. So highly recommend that. This is the size we're going to make now. This is for your neck. And again, some people will do maybe 3 compartments, or they'll do it long way. I don't like to have it at all organized. I just like the flaxseed or the rice right in there. It's filled to here, so a little more than half. But I like that because then when you put it on your neck, you can kind of jiggle it and move the heat to where you want it. For the first bag, where we're going to be putting all of the rice or the flaxseed, I'm going to be using this scrap of fabric. It honestly does not matter what fabric you use. You just want to make sure it's not going to show through whatever you pick for the outside. So I'm going to be using this red. I know it's very visually jarring, isn't it, when I put these 2 together? But this is going to be the outside. So you're not going to see this at all. So that's totally fine. Now, the sizes, the outside, 20 inches by 10 inches, and the inside is 10 inches by 19 inches. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to fold it in half. So down this side and this side, you're going to use a really small stitch because you want to make sure that the rice and the flaxseed has nowhere to escape. So I usually use a 1.8 to 2 stitch length, and you can either just stitch it once, or some people will stitch it twice just for it to be extra secure. I honestly have never had anything escape with stitching it once, so that's totally up to you. The next thing we're going to do for our filler bag is we're going to fold the top down. And I like to do this while it's still wrong side out. I find it easier to fold the fabric back towards me than to fold it inside and get it even. It's just easier to see just how much of a hem you have going on here. Get that evened out and press that. Then we are going to clip the corners, and then we're going to turn this right side out. I love that it's big enough you can just put your whole hand in there, push those corners out. They don't have to be perfect because remember, this is going to be inside the removable washable cover. So that part is ready. Now, because I'm making myself a fresh neck heating pad, I'm going to use flaxseed because I know that's my favorite. I'm going to put it over the bowl. I'm going to add my funnel. You can make a paper funnel if that's easier for you. And then I'm just going to pour the flaxseed in. If you're making one for your neck, make sure you try it before you sew it together. And that one is too full. So we are going to put some of this flaxseed back in this bag. All right, I'm gonna hold that again, kind of spread it out. Try that on my neck again. So that is perfect. I think we used about 2 cups. Well, I'm gonna pin the top where we're gonna sew. And then I'm just going to put a few pins a few inches down, just in case I tip it funny on the sewing machine. I don't want the flaxseed coming out and going into my sewing machine. So the next thing I need to do is stitch straight across the end, and we're going to do that twice to make sure nothing escapes. And make sure when you're doing that stitching, you go off of the end because this flaxseed is really small. For our removable bag, we are going to fold this in half, and we are going to stitch down here and down here. That's the simplest way, but because of the design, I really want that to be centered. So I'm going to stitch like this, then I'm going to open it, and then stitch across the bottom. So making it a little bit more difficult, but the bag cover is going to be a lot nicer because then that's going to be centered on one side. Now we have the casing, and I'm going to press this seam, this long seam, open flat. Now I'm going to fold this down. We're going to hem this top because it is a casing and we're not just putting the rice right in there. So we're going to fold it down and press a 1/4 inch down and then another 1/4 inch to encapsulate that raw edge. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to stitch that hem all the way around. So now all we need to do is add Velcro, and I found this Sew On soft Velcro, and it is 5/8 of an inch. I like it because it's skinnier and it's definitely more flexible. So now you're just going to sew one on one side and then match it up and sew the other on the other side. Now these have turned out to be a little bit snug. So next time, make this fabric 11 inches by 20 inches, and this one you can keep at 19 by 10. But having them both 10 and putting so much filling in it makes it really hard to get these on. But I'm going to show you how I figured out how to do it. So what I did after I struggled before is I'm going to get most of the flaxseed to one side. Then I'm going to do this kind of like you're putting on socks, right? That are hard to get on. You just get it all bunched up. And then we're going to put the end into the end so that I can hold both of them. So right now I'm holding the orange fabric and the red fabric. Then I'm going to pull this up. I'm going to push that down to get some of that flaxseed down. All right, see, now that works. It's a nice snug fit. Close that Velcro. And I have a beautiful new neck heat warming thing. It's so soft. It's got my snowflakes on it, and it has that strip centered nicely because of how we put the seam on the back. So if you make any of these and you post them on social media, be sure to tag me. These are a great product to sew and sell. If you sell online or you sell at craft fairs, you can really mass produce these, go factory style, and you can make a nice profit with these as well, especially if you use the rice versus the flaxseed filling.